Okay, so a lot has happened in the last four chapters of Number the Stars, and I'm just going to go over the main ideas of what's going on. So in chapter 5, we know from chapter 4 that that was the night of the Jewish New Year, and they went to the church, Ellen and her family, and then all of a sudden they came back and they were just kind of acting suspicious, and said that Ellen was just going to be staying with Anna Marie. So she's staying with her. They are in Anna Marie's room that she used to share with Lise, her sister, and they're kind of worried about what if the men start looking for her and they go to Anna Marie's house. So they kind of just talk and joke about how she'll pretend that she's Lise. And Ellen she wants to be an actress one day and she's very good at acting, she thinks. So she's like, oh, I'll just be your sister. Then they start kind of having a serious conversation talking about how did Lise die anyways. And Anna Marie doesn't really know. She just says that she remembers there was an accident. She was with Peter when it happened, her fiance, and that her dad was very mad. But they never really talked about what happened. But we kind of know that at this point, Peter is definitely in the resistance group. And so it's a pretty good prediction that his wife or his fiance Lise was also in the same resistance group, and the accident was probably them trying to fight against, or maybe something really did happen as an accident, but it probably had to do with the resistance group. So then they go to bed. In the middle of the night, the soldiers wake them all up and say that they cannot find the Rosens and that the Johansson family is known to be friends with them, which they agree. They act kind of dumb, like they have no idea where the family is, but they want to come check out the house. So they do. And as Anna Marie and Ellen are sitting there kind of worried, they know they just have to act the part out. She realizes that Ellen has the Star of David necklace on her. And so she's like, take off her necklace, take off her necklace. She can't get it off, so she just rips it off and holds it in her hand. Now, I cannot imagine being 11, 12 years old and soldiers or police officers or anyone coming in and waking me up in the middle of the night. And I don't think I'd be able to lie very easily without getting caught. I'd be obviously very scared. What if they get caught? They could go to jail. They can be in trouble just as much as the Jews at this point. So they're very courageous, just act the part. Soldiers ask, well, why does Ellen have brown hair? Well, they don't know it's Ellen, but why does this girl have brown hair and the other two have blonde? And they're saying this because mainly Adolf Hitler, one thing was the religion, but the other thing was a lot of Jews have brown hair, brown eyes, and he thinks the most beautiful people are blonde hair, blue eyes, and that would be the Germans. And so, or just people that are not Jewish. And so that was kind of why they made that comment about the hair. Luckily, Lise had brown hair when she was a baby. And so the mom just really quickly is like, oh, look, here I have proof. This is my child. So they kind of got lucky there. And they're obviously very scared when it was all over with. And Ellen's kind of freaking out at this point. She knows that this is kind of a dangerous situation. She apologizes for having brown hair. She apologizes for being there. And this family thinks nothing of it. They're just like, you're a child. You are completely innocent. This is not your fault. But then the next day, they get told they're not going to school anymore, which they can't. If Ellen goes to school, the soldiers will just find her when she gets to school. So they know that they can't go to school. They can't just keep hiding because eventually they're going to get caught. So they get told that they're going to visit Uncle Henrik instead of going to school. And this is where Anna Marie's mother grew up in the country. And so they're like, okay, we went there before, not a big deal. But on the phone call with Uncle Henrik, Anna Marie's starting to notice maybe there's some weird conversations happening. So the first thing she's asking is, hey, is the weather good for fishing? And she's like, well, my uncle fishes whether it's raining or it's not. And why? That's just such a weird question. We kind of know, we can make some predictions because we know the history of Denmark, and they transported a lot of Jews through the fishing boats. So that's probably the talk what they're really suggesting. They're not really talking about fishing as much as is it a good time for us to get some people out of here. Then they're talking about I'm bringing a carton of cigarettes, which is also weird because cigarettes have been rationed, and she hasn't seen cigarettes in a very long time because of the war. And so that's when she realizes, oh, they're talking code. They're secretly talking, and it's more so they have no idea. Maybe their phones are being tapped, kind of somehow they could maybe find out. Also, they're trying to hide all of this reality from the girls because there is this big disconnect between the adults and their understanding of what's going on and the children's. And Anna Marie's kind of falling in that in between stage because her younger sister, Kirsty, she's completely oblivious of what's going on. And I think the parents really kind of like that because it protects her. But Anna Marie is starting to realize that she is being protective of her friend. She's starting to piece together a lot of things that's going on. And so then they say the other cartons will come soon. So we can predict that they're not really talking about cartons of cigarettes, but they're talking about Ellen and maybe some of the other Jews. So they took the train to get to Uncle Henrik's. They did get questioned by the soldiers of what they were doing and where they were going when they were on the train. Then we had chapter 7. So they're walking up to Uncle Henrik's house. He lives through the forest in the country, and also right by the ocean. I kind of have a comment about a leaf that is coming out of the water and how it's probably washed up from Sweden. And because Sweden is literally just across this little bit of ocean, they can see it. It's really close. And Sweden, we know, is uncharted territory. It is a free spot right now for the Jews to go. Just like Denmark was a free area when Poland and Germany were getting attacked, they all flew to Denmark. Well, Denmark is now also kind of being under attack and controlled. So then they just keep going more north. So the uncle's kind of paranoid. He's like, did anyone see you? Did you run into anyone? Did anyone question you? But no, they were fine. Then they are talking. That night they have supper. He does have some things that they're not used to because of rationings, because he lives on the farm. And he's been able to hold back some things because he doesn't have like kids and stuff. So they have a good supper and then they go to bed. And Anna Marie just listens all night as the uncle and the mother are talking. And they sound pretty serious, and the kids are kind of clueless on what's going on. They know they're obviously maybe in a little bit of danger. They know that this is going to get ugly. They don't know what, though, has happened to Ellen's parents. They don't know what's going to happen to them. And so they just know that they're big. The only thing they can do is act. And they're just supposed to do whatever they're told and just act the part. And that's kind of hard to expect an 11, 12-year-old to just be able to lie and act and do whatever to stay out of danger. But that's just what they have to do. So right now, the theme in the story is developing, and they're talking really a lot about things are not always what they seem. So the code talking and the cigarettes and is it good weather for fishing? That's some things that Anna Marie's realizing they're not literally talking about those things. She does hear her uncle say that they're gonna go fishing tomorrow. They're gonna leave really early in the morning and stay on boat at night. So we know because of the history, this means that he's going to be helping get rid of some Jews and letting them escape to Sweden where it's safety. He then the next day is asking Anna Marie's mother if she has prepared the living room and having this kind of like secret conversation where, and I know you guys have had this, where your parents maybe are talking about something around you, but you don't really know all of what they're talking about. And it's like they're talking code, but they're not even needing to know code because they're just, I don't know, they're just like talking bits and pieces of things. And so she's finding that's kind of weird. Well, what are they preparing the living room for? Oh, because great Aunt Berthy died. And there's going to be a funeral at Uncle Henrik's because the tradition is that you have the funerals in the family's house. But Anna Marie is just questioning everything at this point. She knows that they're not telling her everything. And she's just like, what is going on? Who is Great Aunt Berthy? She's like, I've never even heard of this person before. And why, like, if she died, wouldn't we have been told that the very beginning of when we started going to Uncle Henrik's and like weird timing? And they're having secret codes about fishing. And Anna Marie's getting kind of frustrated because she just is like, listen, I'm not a little kid anymore. I need to know what in the world is going on. And so that is where we'll end. The next chapter starts with the question of why are you lying? And I feel like if I make some predictions here, Anna Marie's just going to kind of blow up and be like, I am not 5. You can tell me what's going on, because she's having to act the part, play the part. And this is obviously super important for her friend and her life. And she is just hating that they're just talking around her and she's completely clueless of what's going on. But maybe that's how the parents want to keep it. All right, so that's chapter 5 through 8. Hope you guys are liking it.